Hello YouTube and welcome back to Kinsley Custom Guitars. I know it's been a little while since the last video. A lot of things have changed in the last, what's it been, 6 months or so? But I'm getting back into the swing of a normal life. I've got a new studio space, a new workbench, and I'm hoping I'll be able to keep making more of these videos as time goes on. Today, to kick off the return, it was probably almost a year ago now that I picked up some of these, nice and heavy. I picked up 2 of these Electro-Voice speakers, pretty much sight unseen. A friend of mine was off at like an estate sale or something where the dude was a big-time musician and just had a bunch of like speakers and amp cabinets and stuff like that sitting around. And I was offered a pair of these for $135, and I could not say no. They've kind of just sat in a box since then because I really haven't had time to do anything with them, but that changes today because we are going to put this in a Marshall DSL-40CR. Probably going to just do a little bit of a before and after sound. I'll put those towards the end of this video, so if that's all you want to hear is the before and after, go ahead and skip ahead. But for those of you interested in watching the replacement process, I'll try to figure out the best way to film a big old amplifier on a workbench, and we'll be right back. Okay, so sorry that you can see all the messiness kind of around the amplifier, but this is about the only way I could get this thing set up well enough to be able to film it. So this right here is the back of my Marshall. First off, we got to take off this backboard. So we'll go ahead and remove the screws. There's 6 of them. All right, and we'll just set those aside for right now and remove the back. And here we have a Celestion G12 speaker. And I haven't been overly happy with this speaker. I think it sounds a little funny in here. It just doesn't quite have a Marshall sound, at least to my ears. Also, this amp has been upgraded a little bit. I've got a pair of Electro-Harmonic CL34s in here, and one of the preamp tubes has been replaced with a JJ. And before we go any further, if anything that you're about to see here is something you're not comfortable with doing, do not do it. Have a amp tech do this for you. We're not going to be going anywhere into the amplifier itself, but amplifiers in general deal with very high voltages and can cause quite a bit of a shock. So to start, we're going to disconnect the Celestion speaker, and it is held in with 4 screws right here to the baffle. Another thing you're going to want to check on is if the baffle is beefy enough to hold the speaker that you're trying to swap in. This Celestion has a much smaller magnet than the Electro-Voice that we're about to put in there. So it's always a good idea just to kind of make sure that it's thick enough to support the weight of the new speaker. I don't think I'm going to have any problems with this amplifier, and I don't move this amplifier around all that much, so it being a little bit heavier is not going to be a deal breaker. So let's get these 4 screws out of here while avoiding the tubes. Magnets, gotta love them. Alright, and the speaker should just lift out at this point. Alright, and feels like this baffle has those nut certs, like little nuts that get inserted and hammered into the wood so that they don't back out. Some speaker baffles do not have those, and you will have to remove the entire baffle to access the nut or the screw on the other side. Everybody does it a little bit differently. So just kind of make that assessment as you get into your amplifier. So let's get this big beefy chunker of a speaker in here. And we're going to orient it in the same way, or as close to the same way as we can that the last speaker was in there, so that all the screw holes line up. And another thing we're going to have to address is this speaker has push terminals where you're expected to thread in like a banana plug or bare copper. The last speaker had these little spade terminals, so we're going to have to cut these off. And I don't have any banana plugs on hand, but I have plenty of crimp-on terminals on hand, so we can always revert it back to the way it was if this doesn't turn out as something we like. Also, right now, before we forget, this speaker is an 8 ohm speaker. The one that came out of this was a 16 ohm speaker. The 16 ohm output jack up here is no longer going to be the right one. We are going to need to use one of the 1X 8 ohm outputs up here. And that way we won't damage this transformer or anything like that. So let's grab our handy dandy wire strippers. It's so nice having a workbench where you can actually organize your tools and reach for everything. And we're going to cut these off as close as we can. All right, those are off. Now you just strip back and expose some of the copper. That was probably a little much. That's a little better. Twist it so that they don't fray. And if you really wanted to, you could probably apply solder to these to make sure that the wires don't fray at all. But right now we are going to match up the colors. Pull a little of that slack out of there. Black to black, red to red. There we go. Now we just line back up with our screw holes. Our new speaker has a thicker surround than the last one did, and the factory screws are not long enough. I'm gonna scrounge around and see if I've got anything that will work, and I will be right back. All right, it has been a couple hours and a trip to the hardware store and lunch later. We have picked up some new screws that are long enough. These are 5mm by 0.8 by 30mm screws for anybody who's doing this on this exact kind of amplifier, and they seem to be the perfect length. And I'm going to put these in by hand to avoid cross-threading. You also want to get these quite tight, as this is not a point on the amplifier that you necessarily want rattling. So make sure to get these bolts as tight as you can without deforming or damaging anything. Plug the speaker back in. All right, we've got it in the 8 ohm out. Now it's time to put the baffle back on. Or I guess it's not technically a baffle, but you know what I mean, the back piece. Is it a baffle? The name for it is baffling to me. All right, that about does that speaker swap. Let's get it over on the floor where it was and get it mic'd back up, and let's see how it sounds in comparison to the old speaker. Alright, so what did you guys think? Does the Celestion G12 or the EVM12L sound better in that Marshall? I am leaning towards the EVM. I think it sounded louder, more present, and a little bit more vibrant overall. Like, this one did an okay job, but I feel the EVM has more of that Marshall sound. And so I'm really digging the way this thing sounds. I do have two of these. One of these just went into the Marshall. This is the other one. I might try and put this in another amplifier of mine and see what happens. Maybe even swap in the Celestion G12. I don't know. I've got a couple other amplifiers that I'm not super happy with the way the speaker sounds in them, so might be swapping some more stuff around on this channel. I don't know yet. But yeah, tell me in the comments below what you guys think of the difference between these two speakers is. I know I didn't record a whole heck of a lot for you to listen to, but I'm not an amazing guitarist or anything, and I wanted to be able to keep it consistent between the two playthroughs, so that's basically what you got. If you would like to see more of the EVMs shooting out other speakers, other amplifiers, getting swapped into other amplifiers, let me know. I'll see what I can do. I've got a couple Fenders, I got a Bugera, a couple other things, so we can try to make something happen. But yeah, if you thought this was a great video, be sure to like it, share it with your friends, and just in general, drop a comment below. Let me know how it's going, and if you have any questions for the channel. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Take care.